Angela Lansbury is one of the few Hollywood actresses who earned legendary status. But for her to get there, she had to fight through shame after shame. And just when she started getting a break, life threw her an even bigger challenge, threatening to take both of her sons away from her. How was she able to keep her head above the shame to become the legendary Angela we all know today? And how was she able to save both of her sons from the cold hands of death? Let's find out while we show you some of her rare photos. Unlike many of her old Hollywood counterparts, Angela Lansbury did not come from poverty. Rather, on October 16, 1925, she was born into relative comfort in London, England. Her mother, Moyna McGill, was one of the greatest Irish actresses of all time, and her father, Edgar Lansbury, was a wealthy timber merchant and an English politician. In addition, her grandfather, George Lansbury, was a leader of the British Labour Party. Angela always professed to be awed by him in her childhood. When Angela was only 9 years old, her father died from stomach ulcer. This was such a traumatic event in her life, but her mother was often too busy to tend to her. As a result, Angela started to play make-believe characters. This not only helped her deal with losing her father, but also honed her acting skills. Moving into her teen years, Angela fell completely in love with the stage and the screen. She saw as many plays, musicals, and movies as she could. In her own words, she was a complete movie maniac. As such, she learned more about life from movies, books, and plays than she did in school. In 1940, Angela's rich and powerful grandfather passed away. As much as the Lansbury family had every single thing they needed to live a comfortable life, without him, all of that was threatened by the approach of World War II. Between 1940 and 1941, when Angela was about 15 years old, the Germans had started direct bomb strikes over London in a phenomenon known as the Blitzkrieg. Many London homes had been destroyed, and the Lansbury family, fearing they would be next, fled to America. They arrived in New York near the tail end of the year. Though this move destabilized their lives somewhat, it also came with new opportunities. Angela's mother found sponsorship through a popular Wall Street businessman known as Charles T. Smith. This ensured that they could maintain their comfortable way of life. As for Angela herself, the world of movies and theater had wonderfully opened up to her in America. She gained a scholarship from the American Theater Wing to study the arts that she loved so much at the Fegan School of Drama and Radio. At 17 years of age, Angela's aspiration was to conquer the New York theatrical scene, but her plans fell into water when her mother, Moyna, moved to Hollywood, Los Angeles to revive her own screen career. Angela and her brothers had no choice but to follow her. Though this move was unanticipated, it again presented new opportunities to Angela. She was, after all, a fantastic young actress, and Hollywood was always looking to find its next big star. Her mother, Moyna, did not succeed in her endeavors and almost fell into ruin. However, through her high-class connections, she managed to open doors for her children. At a party hosted by her mother, Angela met John Van Druten, an English playwright who had just finished a very interesting script for a movie called Gaslight. Though Angela was just a minor, he told his superiors that she'd be the perfect actress for the role of Nancy Oliver, a troublesome and nosy maid. The studios had their doubts, given Angela's age and inexperience. However, they decided to go for it. Angela's performance in Gaslight was so great that at the tender age of 17, she earned an Academy Award nomination. Though it was her first movie role, she was perfectly able to keep up with screen giants Charles Boyer, Ingrid Bergman, who won an Academy Award for the role, and Joseph Cotten. The movie itself went on to gain great cultural significance, ensuring that Angela was never far from the public eye. MGM, delighted by their new find, signed Angela onto a 7-year $500 a week contract. It seemed at last that she was on the verge of movie stardom. But unfortunately, Angela's time with MGM was not all that she or her fans hoped it would be. Despite how wonderfully she had performed in Gaslight, the studio was not quite sure what to do with her. As such, they confined her to minor supporting roles, hoping that she would somehow be able to recreate the magic that she displayed with the character of Nancy Oliver. But that never happened, as the scripts she received at the time were not of great quality. Angela did have some highlights, though, including meeting and befriending old Hollywood icon Elizabeth Taylor. They formed a lifelong friendship as a result. Though Angela was always careful to protect her image, the same cannot be said about her closest associates. On September 27, 1945, when Angela was 20 years old, she married Richard Cromwell, a well-known actor whose star was waning. Right from the start, Angela's marriage was beset with difficulties. As it turned out, Cromwell was a closeted homosexual who thought that by marrying Angela, he could cure himself. Things did not turn out as planned, and on September 11, 1946, Angela was granted a divorce from him. Despite how deeply embarrassing this episode was for her, she remained his friend until his death in 1960. Nearing the end of her acting contract, Angela's position at MGM did not improve. She was kept a B-lister by being typecast into the roles of older villainous women. This phenomenon was so bad that her fans often thought she was in her 40s when she was still in her 20s. With both parties incredibly dissatisfied with how things had turned out, her contract was terminated in 1952. But then, even as a freelancer, things did not improve for her, and she still continued to be typecast. In 1962, she appeared in the political thriller The Manchurian Candidate. Playing the character of Lawrence Harvey's mother, she was only 3 years older than him at the time. This would have been a hilarious situation, but for the magic of makeup artists. Despite the fact that the movie had confined her to the same old stereotypes she had faced throughout her career, she still shined in the role. She put on such a legendary performance that it earned her yet another Academy Award nomination. In the mid to late 60s, Angela's frustration with Hollywood had hit its peak. She was very dissatisfied with the minor roles that didn't allow her to fully explore the length and breadth of her talent. For Hollywood, it was goodbye for now. But for the world of musical theater, Angela had arrived in grand fashion. In 1966, Angela took on the role of Mame Dennis from the hit musical Mame. The first choice for the role was Rosalind Russell, who had played the theatrical version and had excelled in it. However, to Angela's benefit, Rosalind was not interested in the musical theater version. The role was still up for grabs. The producers had their doubts about Angela, as she was in her 40s but had never been the lead of any production whatsoever. But then, desperate for the role, she wowed them with her eagerness and her auditions. She eventually won the part, planting further doubt in the minds of fans and critics alike. All of that changed when she took to the stage on opening night. Angela's performance as Mamie was so fantastic that she earned numerous rave reviews. The show was a hit, resulting in packed house after packed house. For Angela, after 20 years in the business, her big moment had come. She was finally an A-list star, one whose talents were very clear for all to see. As a cherry on top, she received her first Tony Award. Throughout the mid-60s to the late 60s, Angela enjoyed success after success. She made numerous TV and play appearances. It seemed that she was all set for even more success in the 70s. But it was at this precise moment that shame once again reared its ugly head. As it turned out, her children, Deidre and Anthony, had become serious drug addicts. They had dived in too deep into the 60s countercultural scene. Anthony, in particular, could not do without both heroin and cocaine. It was a problem that threatened to undo years of hard work and ruin all their lives. In 1970, Angela's husband, Peter Shaw, was undergoing a hip replacement procedure. Right at that time, Anthony suffered a drug overdose and entered a coma. He was mere inches away from death. As if that was not tragedy enough, the family's Malibu house caught on fire and burned to the ground completely. For the Lansbury family, it was almost a hopeless situation. Though Angela's marvelous career had finally hit a decent stride, she was not free to pursue all the wonderful roles that were coming to her. Instead, she decided to move her son back to Ireland to help him battle his drug addiction. This gesture proved to be a marvelous success, as Anthony not only recovered from his addiction, but went on to become a great television director. In fact, he directed 68 episodes of the hit detective TV show Murder, She Wrote, starring his mother in the lead role. Murder, She Wrote, one of the few detective shows to feature a female in the lead role, was a major international success. If Angela was a hit already, this took her popularity to whole new heights. Recovering from the tragedy of the early 70s, Angela's career was back on track in full force. She dominated not only the stage, but the screen and radio as well. Throughout Angela's illustrious career, she earned 3 Academy Award nominations, 18 Emmy Award nominations, and 1 Grammy Award nomination. On top of this, she won 6 Golden Globes and 6 Tony Awards. As great of a sensation as she was, she always tried to keep things humble and private. This was a strategy that worked wonders for her. After all, personal shame had almost derailed her career and ruined her twice. As a woman in old Hollywood, that was something she could not afford. Dame Angela Lansbury died on October 11, 2022, just 5 days shy of her 97th birthday. Her career shines as a beacon for all those who seek to dominate multiple facets of the entertainment industry, just as she did. If you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance you'll also enjoy the one showing on your screen right now. Click, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.